Coming to you live. This is OneFM on 94.0.
Coming to you live from our studios at the Tableview Shopping Centre right here in Tableview in the Western Cape. I still feel like I need to say that, Western Cape, because just been travelling around the country and so happy to be home.
It's always nice to be home.
Only thing I can say is that the advantages of being anywhere else but Cape Town is that a typical day is like 35 degrees elsewhere.
Yes, it's so nice.
And a typical night is like 26 degrees.
Oh, awesome.
And I came back and I was like, oh, okay, home, 13 degrees, right, okay.
Chilly.
That's nighttime.
And it's getting chillier.
I know, but lovely, beautiful to be back in Cape Town. Now, speaking of which, we do have a lot of beautiful things in Cape Town, like our mountain, the ocean, the people,
Yeah, absolutely, the people.
and our neighbours, the snakes. He doesn't say anything. Well, luckily, we have people like the gentleman I'm going to introduce to you, Willem van Zyl. Good morning, sir.
Morning, how are you?
I'm well, thank you. And the reason why, of course, we're introducing you today, and Ingrid's still cringing. Did you bring a snake with you?
Unfortunately not, no.
Okay. You can get off the chair now, Ingrid.
I won't even go close to him because he touches snakes.
Oh, no. Well, this is why Willem's here. Willem's here to educate us more about snakes,
Yes.
especially in our back garden. Willem van Zyl is part of the Blouberg Snake Rescue and also developed the website and app snakeremoval.co.za for the rest of the country. And you've been a pretty active boy, like the last, I say that in a bad way, not in a bad way, but you've been a pretty active gentleman, there we go, in the last couple of months, because you've been starting to post videos up on YouTube and your page to see like how many snakes you catch a day and a week and a month, etc. And it's not like one or two videos, it's quite a few videos you get going there. And you've been catching snakes way before the videos have even started. So let's first off start off with where do you stay?
I live in West Beach.
In West Beach, okay. Now, the snakes I've seen you collect have been at Sunset Beach,
Yes.
Tableview, quite a few, Sunningdale, construction sites mainly. So let me start off with like saying, what type of snakes do you catch?
It depends on the area, really. In West Beach, where I stay, it's mostly egg eaters. The rest of Tableview, mainly mole snakes. Luckily, we don't get a lot of cobras here. Now and then I might get a cobra. But then I also work out towards Sunset Beach and Milnerton. There you get a lot of cobras and
Really?
fewer mole snakes, yes. And then when you go up to Melkbos side, you mostly get boomslang and Cape cobras up there. Not so many mole snakes. It depends on the area, but those are the big ones that people tend to see. There are a lot of smaller, harmless snakes that I catch as well, like the herald snakes and the olive house snakes and the brown house snakes and so on.
Okay, now generally, if someone like Ingrid, I suppose me to a degree, a snake's a snake, brother. Kill it! So what's the right thing to do?
Well, no, you shouldn't kill it. Thing is, snakes play an important role in the ecosystem. If you were to kill off all the puff adders, for example, you're going to have a rat and a mouse problem. And rats and mice do actually bite people.
Yeah.
Snakes don't want to bite people. Rats and mice do, and they carry disease. If you were to kill off all the Cape cobras, you're going to have a puff adder problem because the Cape cobras eat the puff adders and some of the other snakes. They all play a role, so you shouldn't kill it. What you need to do is, whenever you see a snake, stay at a safe distance of 5 meters. If you're 5 meters away, there's no snake in the country that can do anything to you, not even a spitting snake. So you stay 5 meters away, you call your local snake catcher, and you keep watching the snake until they get there. And that's very important. Some people go and hide in the house. And when I get there, they tell me the snake was out there in the garden somewhere. Then I can't find it. And then for weeks or days afterwards, they wonder whether the snake is still there or not.
Which is more psychologically taxing than
It is.
catching the thing.
I always tell people on the phone, rather be scared for the 10-15 minutes it takes me to get there, and I will catch it and you'll see me taking it away and you're going to have peace of mind.
Alright, okay. 5 meters, is that, when you say 5 meters, is that because there is a snake that can sort of launch at you if you're closer than 5 meters?
It depends on the snake.
Yeah.
Most snakes can strike about half their body length distance. A puff adder can go a bit further, but the reason I tell people 5 meters is then you're covered for spitting snakes as well. The Rinkels and the Mozambique spitting snake, which we don't really get here, They can spit about 3 meters, just over 3 meters.
Spit
They
venom.
can spit their venom, yes.
And then lands on your skin and it burns. Or
They tend to aim for your eyes, and if it gets into your eyes, it burns a lot. You can't get sick from that, and you can't die from that, but you can lose your sight if you don't treat it immediately.
Wow.
But like I said, we don't get the spitters here. They're more up towards the Northern Cape and the other parts of the
I'm
country.
shocked that I've been living in this country, let's say 30 years, 35 years, and we don't have general snake education class in school.
True. It's so true.
We live in Africa.
Absolutely.
We
That's
have
so true.
we used to have animals on our money,
Yeah.
and now I'm learning things about spitting
Sure.
snakes, which I've never heard in my entire life.
And we do have loads of snakes in this country. I mean, compared to a lot of other countries.
We do, and we have some of the most venomous snakes in the world as
Sure.
well.
Oh, that's because when we do stuff, we do it right.
Exactly. But you're right. People aren't educated enough about snakes. There are many myths and misconceptions about snakes. The stories I hear are absolutely
Well,
crazy.
don't put the Bible down just yet. I mean, I'm still believing that part there about the apple and stuff.
People believe the strangest things that they need to do when they see a snake or when they've killed a snake.
But we're going to get to that in a second. I'd love to hear those stories.
Sure.
I'm chatting to Willem van Zyl, who's from the Blouberg Snake Rescue, and we'll talk about where he puts those snakes away after he catches them in a minute. Stay tuned to 1FM 94.0.
This is 1FM on 94.0.
Right, so we left off our conversation with Willem van Zyl from the Blouberg Snake Rescue, and his website is snakeremoval.co.za. We said talking about some myths. So give us some myths about snakes that people, you hear it and you must have a good chuckle every time now and then.
I do. It ties in with the lack of education around snakes, reptiles in general, actually. People believe the strangest things. I've heard people tell me that if they killed a snake, they need to burn it, else other snakes are going to come and look for it. I've heard people tell me that if a snake bites their pet, they need to inject petrol into the dog to stop the venom.
Right.
And then there's the popular things as well that you see on TV, like you need to cut it open, suck out the venom if your friend's been bitten, all those kinds of things.
Yeah.
None
Not
of it's
true.
true. None of it is true.
Suck out the venom.
No. The only thing you can do if you or your friend has been bitten is to get to a hospital as soon as possible. You don't have to catch that snake because there are only 2 antivenoms, and based on the symptoms, they'll know which one to give him. Just get yourself or get your friend to the hospital as quickly as you can.
Right, because the Cobras have got the
Neurotoxic venom, that's
venom.
right.
There you go. So that goes for like switching off all the organs in your body and.
Yes, generally you start getting droopy-eyed and you start slurring your speech, and then within about 30 minutes or so you stop breathing when a cobra bites you.
It sounds almost like all the revelers on Marine Circle on a Friday night, except the stop breathing part.
Look, you've got time to get to the hospital, and a good idea as well is to find out whether your closest hospital has a trauma unit.
Right.
It doesn't matter that much whether they've got antivenom; they will fly that in if they need it. But as soon as you can get to a trauma unit, they're going to start managing your symptoms.
Because they've got to switch off the respiratories and put you on respiration equipment, because that's the main thing. It shuts down your
thing.
breathing.
You're going to be in pain, but if they can just keep you breathing until the antivenom gets there, you're going to be fine. And with some snakes like the puff adder, which has cytotoxic venom that destroys your tissue, it's crucial that you get there, because when they give you the antivenom, it can stop all the damage from there on, but it can't reverse what's already been done.
Right.
So the sooner you get there, the less you're going to lose.
Okay, and that's what's with the skin.
The skin and the muscle, yes.
Okay.
All snake venoms are part of their digestive system. So if a snake bites you and injects the venom, that actually starts digesting the food, and then when it swallows its prey, the stomach doesn't have to do all the work. The venom has already done some of the work for it.
Right. Sure. That's crazy.
That's crazy.
Okay, now we've heard some rumors that you can put some like rat poison, you get snake poison or repellents and stuff like that. Tell us more about that.
No, snake repellents work to empty out your bank account. That's the only thing they do. They are very expensive, and you get You get sprays that you put out, you get pellets you put out, you get powders that you put out, you even get little machines that work off solar power that you stick in the grass and all that. None of that stuff works. All of the reputable researchers have tested all of those things. They don't work. People just sell this to make money off of you. The only thing you can really do to keep snakes away from your house or your place of business is to make sure that there's no food, water or shelter for them there. If there's open water, especially now with the drought, or if there's a food source like mice nests, or if you've got building rubble lying around or a lot of leaves and so on,
stuff, yeah.
you might find snakes there.
Okay.
So those big holes in the ground that you see, that's definitely snake holes.
No, actually not.
Oh.
Snakes don't make holes.
Oh, so
That-
what is it?
There's another myth. Add that to your list.
Yeah, it's another
I've
myth.
always thought that was the hole, was the snake would come out of that hole.
No, they will use the
Or
holes.
moles. Oh, they would.
They will
Yeah.
use the holes that something else made, but they can't make their own holes. So it would be moles or rats and mice and things like that.
Okay. Oh, interesting.
Now, you do this for the love of it, or how
I
does it
do.
work? How do you operate?
So
How does the Blouberg snake rescue?
well, I've always had a interest in and a love for snakes, and then last year I finally decided to get around to doing all my training and certifications
So it's
and
quite a
getting
new
my.
thing.
It's a relatively new thing. I started doing this for the area in October last year, I think.
Wow. Okay.
But you need to do training to learn how to handle them safely. You need to get the right equipment, and then you need to get permits from your local nature conservation board as well. And then last year I started doing it, and what I've tried to do right from the start is to create a video for every snake that I capture, to make a video of the capture and make a video of the release. And then during the release I explain to people what the snake is,
Yeah.
what the habits are, how you can recognize this kind of snake, what you need to do if you see it, and so on. And especially with the more dangerous snakes like the Cape Cobras and the puff adders and so on, I try to show people that when I take that really angry Cape Cobra that's hissing at me in the bucket
Yeah.
out of there
He
and I put
ducks.
him down on the ground, he goes away.
He runs.
He doesn't try and attack me. Snakes don't attack people.
Slithers in.
They just want to get away from you as soon as they can, because we're a predator in their eyes.
Right.
If a snake bites you, it's probably because you tried doing something to it.
Yeah.
If it's a puff adder, maybe you stepped on it. If it's a Cape Cobra, maybe you tried catching it yourself or killing it,
Yes.
and it's going to defend itself.
Okay. Now, speaking of which, before we go there, I noticed that you've got a couple of sponsors on board, Reload being one of them, the coffee guys. I think the Spa was the other one.
Reload is the main one at the moment, and then I've got a couple of smaller sponsors, people from the community who donate a little bit every month just to help towards my fuel and so on.
Yeah.
Okay, so well done to Reload Coffee. We love you guys. Keeping the snakes out of
Yes.
the restaurants.
Why are you jittering over there?
Yeah, I just thought about it now. And I've watched the videos. I watched a lot of his videos. So,
I cannot watch them,
but
sorry,
one of the
but
things that you have to. I promise you, it's
cannot.
very an awakening
No, I'm
experience.
sure it is. Wonderful.
I do have a slight fear of cobras because I went to Hout Bay and there's that place that's got a snake something as you walk in. It's in a glass thing. I can't remember what it is. Not
All the
Hout Bay.
birds?
I think it's Imhoff Gift. I think
Imhoff Snake Bar.
that's it.
Yes.
And this cobra just really didn't like me at all. He kept on hitting the glass trying to bite me. And I was just like, what did I do to you, little buddy, little guy? And then I have these visions of the snake all the time, every time. So when I watch it, one thing that it does put to my mind
Yes.
rest is that, yes, these guys duck. They go. They're different out the way. But we were talking about the puff adders. They don't
No.
really always run.
Most snakes will go away when you approach. Snakes can't hear like we do, so they can't hear us talking, for example, but they can feel vibrations through the ground.
So it's stupid yelling at them. Hoi, hoi.
Yeah, it's not going to
You
do
should stamp
anything.
your feet.
And also, if you see a snake, you don't have to worry about whispering to your friend, there's a snake. You can shout at him, there's a snake, stand still. The snake isn't going to hear you.
Believe you me,
But-
they would hear me.
But all snakes can feel vibrations through the ground as
Right.
you walk. That's how they hunt. They can feel the mice running around and so on. And most of them will go away when they feel you're approaching. The exception is a puff adder, because its camouflage is so good, it thinks it can stay there and you're not going to see it. And unfortunately, then people step next to it and it bites them. Or people step on it and it bites them.
All right.
Yeah.
Especially
Okay.
with hiking, I know that a lot of people
Especially
have
with
seen
hiking.
puff adders.
Yeah, the puff adders like lying next to the hiking trails. They usually lie under the bush and just stick a little bit of their body out to sun it, and then every now and then they turn a little bit and stick another bit of their body out.
Now, what colour are they? Because I would like to know if I go hiking.
All snakes' colors differ based on the area, so sometimes it can be difficult to distinguish some snakes. Puff adders have a very distinctive pattern though. They've got a kind of a V shape, a chevron shaped pattern down the whole body,
okay.
and they're quite thick, and usually their tummies are yellowish. and they've got a triangular head. If you look at a photo of a puff adder online, it's pretty easy to remember what that looks like. But many other snakes, like Cape Cobras and mole snakes, for example, are easy to confuse if you don't know how to identify them. Because Cape Cobras can be yellow, but they can also be brown or black, or they can have spots or be anything in between.
So the real rabbit nation.
Yeah.
So if they raise their head up like that, is that definitely a cobra?
If you see a snake and it raises its head and it makes a hood, then it's a cobra.
Okay.
Yes.
No,
Some of the other
I've
snakes
seen one.
will.
I've seen a baby cobra across the road.
Okay.
Near West Coast Village, the Sunningdale area.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And it was doing its whole thing.
It was right across the road.
Oh wow.
So then I know it was baby
Yeah.
in front of my car.
That's another myth about snakes, by the way. People think that the juvenile snakes aren't dangerous, the babies. They're not dangerous. But the moment a snake is born, if it had venomous parents, it's just as venomous and it's just as deadly. So you don't even want to pick up baby snakes. I had a funny incident a couple of weeks ago where someone called me out to Atlantis and they told me they caught a mole snake and it's already in the bucket. Can I just come and fetch it?
And it wasn't.
And I got there and I opened it up and I had a look, and it's a small little snake, only about 20 centimeters, 30 centimeters long. And I asked him who was the guy who picked it up and put it in the bucket. And this guy's all proud. He's raising his hand and he's high-fiving his friends. And I tell him, this isn't a mole snake, it's a baby Cape Cobra. And I could just see the blood draining from his face. So don't handle snakes.
Babies? I know you say you take them and you release them into the wild. What do you do with the baby snakes? The same thing?
Same thing, yeah.
Oh.
You release them in a suitable habitat. Snakes don't form family bonds like humans do. And they don't stay together either. So after the baby snakes are born or after the eggs hatch, they tend to just go in their own direction and fend for themselves. Yeah.
All right. 2 questions. Where do you release the snakes?
Oh no, don't tell me.
Do you keep them? Can you keep them?
No, you're not allowed to keep them. It's illegal. That's seen as poaching by nature conservation. You need to have a permit to be allowed to relocate snakes, because part of getting that permit is getting training on the different species and their suitable habitats.
Yeah.
So if I capture a snake, I'll move it to a suitable habitat nearby. If it's not a dangerous snake, it will be very nearby, within a kilometer or 2. If it's a more dangerous snake like a Cape Cobra or a boomslang, I tend to move it a little bit further, just 10 kilometers out or so it doesn't come back to the residential area.
Not your neighbour's garden that you don't like.
No,
I know you're my neighbour now, so don't release it.
Sometimes people actually ask me to leave the snakes there. So you get one snake that's called the gardener's friend. It's a slug eater. They eat slugs and snails. They find the slime trail and they follow the slime trail, get to the slug, and they eat it. And so a lot of people want to keep those in their garden so they don't have to put out slug
How
pellets.
big do those snakes get?
They're about 25 centimeters when they're fully grown, I think.
Okay, so they're little, big worms, really.
Yeah, small little fat snakes.
My next question to you is, do snakes swim? In the
All
ocean?
snakes can swim, yes.
So like if
In the
you sit
ocean?
in the dunes and they can slither down, they can actually swim.
There was a video on one of the Facebook groups a while ago about puff adder. Someone saw in Langebaan. As it were sailing on the Langebaan Lagoon, they just saw this puff adder coming past and they took a video of it.
I didn't know that.
But all snakes can swim and all snakes can climb as well. And they can climb surprisingly well. They can go up a brick wall, for instance.
Right, so you just know. Okay. All right, finally, we've got to go. We've got news coming up next. With that in mind, if you see a snake climbing a wall, call the snake guy. Okay, Blouberg Snake Rescue. Let Willem sort it out. Willem, funding.
I do this for the love of it mostly, but I always appreciate donations towards my fuel and so on. If you go to my website, Blouberg Snake Rescue, that's BLOU, bloubergsnakerescue.co.za, there are a couple of donation buttons on there. I really appreciate anything you guys can send my way to help me. And also, there are snake catchers all over the country, not just here in Cape Town. If you're in Cape Town and you call me and I'm not available, or there's someone else closer, I can refer you to someone else. If you're in the rest of the country, get my free app. It's at snakeremoval.co.za. You put that app on your phone. It works even when you don't have cell phone signal. So if you're traveling up in the Northern Cape or something, you keep this with you. And if you find a snake in your house or in your chalet or your car, open up the app. It tells you who the closest snake catcher is, and you just give them a call.
All right.
So awesome.
There you go.
Jeez.
Thank you for your time. Thanks for doing that. And if other people can also support you, you're also a developer by night.
Yes.
So that's what, websites and...
I have a company that does online websites specializing in e-commerce, yes, and I also do mobile app development.
All right, there you go. So you can give Willem a call as well. The Blouberg Snake Rescue. So nice that we have one of these in our
Absolutely.
own backyard, especially with all these cobras that are running around
You're doing a great job.
what's it? Sandown Beach,
Sunset Beach.
Sunset Beach,
Yeah.
and Milnerton.
Look, most people luckily go their entire lives without seeing a snake. Don't be fooled by my Facebook page. When you see how many snakes I catch, that's because people call me.
Yeah.
Most people don't see a snake in their entire lives.
Wow.
Yeah, fantastic.
I think you need to get out to the schools and educate them.
Yeah.
There
You need
are
somebody to support you in that
There-
direction.
there are actually many people that do this. I don't have the snakes myself to go out and do snake shows and so on, but I can refer people who go and do that. Yes.
Fantastic. Thank you for coming in. Willem van Zyl from the Blouberg Snake Rescue. You heard it here on 1FM 94.0.